When you take your puppy for a walk, does it look like this? Then we need to talk about your walking on leash training and some changes that you can make when it comes to this really important skill. But we need to look at things a little bit differently. And in today's video, I'm going to show you how to start making better choices in your training so that your puppy can make better choices too. I'm Ken Steep, and welcome back to McCann Dogs. Here in our training facility, we've helped more than 100,000 dog owners to overcome the same dog training challenges that you have. So if this is your first time on the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that we can help you to have a well-behaved four-legged family member. First things first, you don't need to be doing any real walking on leash training with your puppy until they're about 16 weeks old. Before that 4-month mark, you should be really focusing on some foundational exercises with your puppy, the skills that are going to teach them how to learn. Some of these skills might be following food, teaching your puppy what yes means as a conditioned reinforcer, doing some trick training, response to name. These are the building block exercises that are going to help your puppy to be successful when you do get out and start working on that leash walking training. Now, the first mistake that people make when it comes to teaching their puppy to walk on a loose leash is they rush out and try to start walking on leash training. As I mentioned earlier, foundational skills come first. With all of the interesting and exciting things out in the real world, if you haven't shown your puppy that you can bring value into their life or that you are worth listening to, then the sights and the smells and the sounds all around you in your environment are going to make it pretty challenging for your puppy to make good choices. So I really want you to focus on those exercises that teach your puppy that if they put in a little bit of effort, give you some attention, that they get rewarded. That's going to make your starting to walk on leash training much, much easier. The next mistake that people commonly make when it comes to walking on leash training with their puppies is that they're making it far too challenging for their puppy to be successful. This is a brand new skill for your puppy, so I want you to keep in mind that all of our training, especially at the beginning, is about motivation and focus. And we want to turn these training sessions into short, sweet, successful bits of training. Think about the sit stay, for example. We would never ask our puppy to sit in position for 5 minutes at the beginning of the training. So we want to make sure that we're not doing the same thing with our leash walking training. And a good way to be aware of the level of challenge in your dog's training is by using the 3 Ds. This is something we often talk about. The 3 Ds are distance, distraction, duration. Reducing or increasing any one of these can make things more challenging for your puppy. So let's take a look at how this might apply to your leash walking training. Distance. Pick a short distance. Maybe it's just 10 or 15 feet when you start, but we want to make sure that our puppy starts and ends successfully. So don't drag it out too long. Distractions. Make sure you're as far away from any distractions as you can be. And this might mean that you go to some special training spot without anyone around or with very limited amount of distractions so that your puppy can be successful. Maybe it's even your driveway or a room or hallway in your house or a parking lot after hours. Doesn't really matter what that location is, but I want you to be very mindful of the distractions in the environment so that you can help your puppy to make good choices. And duration. Now, I want you to plan for training sessions that are just a few minutes long. The last thing we want to do is demotivate our puppy by training them when they're too full or not interested in the treats or reward anymore, or they're just generally too distracted because you worked on something for too long. Remember, our puppies have short attention spans and tiny bellies, so we want to take advantage of every opportunity we can to end on a high note. So when you plan your training session, set a timer for 3 or 4 minutes and then break it off once that timer's gone. The next common mistake people make is they don't start with enough control or attention. You're going to have a lot more success if you start with your puppy giving you some attention, already focused on you. It's also the best way for you to be prepared for the next 15 feet of training if you start with your dog in the right place at your side. Maybe you've got some treats preloaded in your hand. You've got your leash set up and loose. So there's just a gentle J shape so that the clip is hanging down. But by preparing for the next 15 or 20 feet, you're more likely to make good choices if your puppy struggles a little bit. Another really common challenge that people have, and it makes it more difficult for their puppy, is they don't know what the right pace of walking is. It's pretty easy for you as a handler to get focused on all of the technique when you're teaching this skill. You're trying to keep the leash loose, you're trying to reward in a specific position, you're trying to keep an eye out for all of the distractions in the real world. So it's not uncommon for people to really slow down their pace. And the problem is that this actually makes it a lot harder for your puppy. What you need to do is find the right pace, and it's not too fast and it's not walking too slow, but it's a pace where your dog's paying a little bit more attention to you. I want you to walk like you're late for something. The great part about this is that your dog finds it motivating and entertaining if you're walking at a very specific pace, and you're way more likely for the next 10 or 15 feet to get that great attention. The other thing it does is it doesn't allow your puppy to discover those things on the ground or be so focused on a leaf that blows by or a car that drives by off in the distance. And it allows you to really maintain some of that attention for these short walking sessions. So make sure you pick a good pace. While we're talking about attention and focus, don't be afraid to use turns in your walking on leash training. This is a really nice way for those dogs that love to charge out. If your puppy charges ahead all the time, you can just do a 180-degree turn and head back in the other direction. Now, at the beginning of this training, you can reward your puppy as they get back in at your side, as they get into that nice walking position. But what it does is it keeps it fun for your puppy. It allows them to, they're not really sure where you're going, so they're checking in with you more often. You wouldn't want to turn into a spinning top if your puppy's constantly charging ahead. But for those puppies who walk in at your side some of the time and then they start to lead ahead just a little bit, a 180-degree turn is a great way to get more focus back on you. I want you to start planning your ending before you begin walking. Since we're trying to teach our puppy to work a little bit, to put in a little bit of effort, we also need to let them know when the job is done. With your puppy, there's a couple different ways to end your walking. The first is a lot more controlled, and it's a really great way to start teaching your puppy an automatic sit so that anytime you stop walking, they sit in at your side. So what I want you to do is when you have your last treat in your hand, I want you to put it on your puppy's nose. As you're coming to a stop, you're going to lure them up and into a sit. And after you've been able to reward them in position, you can release them with an okay. Another really fun way to reward a puppy who's maybe more interested in toys. If your puppy really loves to play with toys and loves to tug, a great way to reward them for great walking is get 10 or 15 steps of nice in position walking and then release them with an okay and have a game of tug. Now, if you've been struggling to maintain your puppy's attention, or if they've been really distracted by the environment around you, this random toy play ending might not be right for your dog. But if you have a dog who's relatively motivated by toys and has been doing a really nice job with attention, this is an awesome way to break up the monotony of walking back and forth. So have some fun with that ending. Ditch the harness. If you have a dog in training who's just learning to walk on leash without pulling, then you need to be giving them better information. Harnesses are great and all of our dogs have them, but our dogs didn't get to use them until they learned that pulling on the leash wasn't acceptable. We often talk in these videos about wanting to give our dogs the best information possible, and the way to do that is to give our dogs clear information. In the case of walking on leash training, clear information means having a little bit more control of their neck or their head so that we can quickly turn them away from distractions and get back to rewarding them for being in a great position for the things that we like. With a harness, it can become a battle of wills where the dog's getting really bad information about what we want them to do. You don't need to struggle for their attention if you can quickly turn them away. So a simple flat collar is a much better choice for your puppy. Now, one thing I occasionally hear about using a flat collar for walking training is that my dog chokes. And if that is the case, you are definitely doing it wrong. I want you to rewind this video and check out the points that I've mentioned, because it's really important that your puppy isn't walking on a tight leash. All of the exercises that we talk about control, all of the reward positioning, that sitting in control position is focused on teaching your dog to walk on a loose leash. So if your dog is choking because they're pulling on their collar, you need to fix that situation first. Going for a leisurely walk in this formal position isn't really reasonable, especially when you start going for longer walks with your dog. You're going to need a couple of other skills. So I want you to check out our video that's the biggest mistakes that people make when leash training a dog, so that you can learn about what those skills are and how to use them. So click that card right there. And if you're looking for some leash walking training that's specific to your dog and specific to your training needs, make sure you check out the link in the description below to our Life Skills program, where you can work with one of our McCann Dogs instructors to get that walking on leash looking great. On that note, I'm Ken. Happy training.